Hi everyone, this is your girl Sushi from Faith, Grief and Grace. This is a podcast where we talk about healing after grief, after loss, and it can be loss of anything. But I want to welcome you in today's podcast. Thank you for subscribing, for following us, for liking, sharing. It's important because this podcast is to help us to come out of that place of grief and move towards something positive, something beautiful, something new in our lives. Today, I wanted to reflect on something that happened recently. It's been a year since I lost my beloved son, a year plus actually. It was a year this May, 2025. And like I always say on my videos, we go through seasons. Grief it's in waves, and I think I talk about it a lot. And it was one of those days I didn't feel like doing anything. I was feeling so down. I was feeling like, what is the sense of life? Why? Sometimes those questions creep in. Hey, it's normal. And a friend of mine, very close friend of mine, calls me out of the blue. I didn't feel like talking to anyone. In fact, at some point, my phone was on silent. And I didn't feel like talking to anyone. And then my son comes to my room, and as we are, just having a conversation, I was forcing myself to have that conversation. He told me that, Mom, you need to check something for me on the internet. There's something we're trying to work on with him. And so I was forced to turn on my phone. Immediately, I turned on my phone. My friend calls. And she's like, hey. I'm like, hey. And she's like, what's wrong? I said, nothing. And she goes, okay. Are you at home? I said, yep. Then she said, I'm coming. I was about to say, please don't. And she hung up. After about 20 minutes, the bell rang. She walked in. And she came straight to my room. She's that type of friend. And she told me, listen, I'm here. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit with you. And we can stare at the walls together. She held my hand. And we just stared at the wall. And tears started flowing. And I cried and she held me. And she whispered a prayer over me in that instant. I was like, wow, God. When I least expect it, Father, you show up. When I feel like I'm going down, I'm spiraling down, Father, you show up. That's our God. And it really got me thinking, how do we show up for our friends, for our family, for people who are going through pain, grief, heartache? How do we show up? There's power in showing up and coming through for those who are down. You don't have to bring anything. My friend didn't bring anything. In fact, I didn't even expect her to come. She came. But do you know what she brought? She brought love. She brought much more than material can buy. She brought peace. She brought courage. She brought an embrace from God, because her being there, I knew in that moment that Jesus was right there. My challenge to us, even as you go through your season, because everything in life is a season. Remember, it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a season for joy, season for sorrow, season for laughter, like that. There are seasons. These are seasons we are going through. As you're going through your season, how are you showing up for others? And it led me to read the book of Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 11. And it says, therefore, comfort each other and edify one another, just as you are doing. That's just an encouragement. How are you showing up for others who truly need you? And you don't need them to prompt you. Just pick that phone call. Call someone you've not talked to in a minute. Maybe that phone call is all they needed that day. Give an encouraging word. Share a verse if you have to. Share a joke. Check on them. Sometimes if you can, just show up at their doorstep and encourage someone. Get out of bed. You know, even for us who are going through grief, how do we show up for others? Maybe someone else needs more encouragement, even in your grieving story. How do you show up for them? Get out of bed. Do something positive that will change somebody's life. If there's one thing I try every day, and I'm teaching my children as well, it's at the end of the day, we kind of go through the day and see, how did I make a difference today? Did I make someone smile? Did I talk badly to someone? Was I positive or was I negative in my dealings today? And I'm growing consciously to be very careful of what I say, who I'm saying it to, because words are powerful. My encouragement, please show up for others. Don't worry about money. Sometimes we worry, oh, I don't have enough funds, even if I go to see this person and I don't have anything. Please show up. Go. You're bringing love, you're bringing a smile, you're bringing encouragement, you're bringing God's word, you're bringing God's peace. You just don't know how God is going to use you as you move and go to see that person, or as you pick that phone call and call somebody and tell them, hey, I was just thinking about you. I know of a story. I was listening to a sermon not so long ago, and the pastor was saying, called people. The message was about the embrace of God, the love of God, and how even in your darkest hole, God's love is right there. It penetrates through that darkness. And a young man, when he was calling out for people to come and if you need to receive Jesus, which is standard in his church, a young man came up. 2 weeks later, the young man came back and said, I have a testimony. That day I came to service, I had told God, talk to me about his love and his peace. And that's what you talked about. I had said, if I do not hear those 2 words, I was going to take my life. But that pastor, in that instant, God used him to show up for this young man. How are you showing up for others? What message are you bringing to those that you show up for? Are you coming to pull from them, to draw from them, or to add to them? Thank you for watching. I'm very grateful for you being here. Thank you for subscribing, for liking, for sharing. I want to encourage you. There is still purpose in your pain. Walk gently, carried by grace. May God bless you. Have a wonderful day.